What's up, YouTube? It's Heretic here, and we are back with another deck for this weekend. We're going to have two expanded decks to close out this week. So rather than doing a standard deck for our, I guess, semi-rogue format, because this isn't really entirely rogue, this is closer to meta. But we're going to go ahead, we had some rogue decks earlier this week, so we're going to look at Raikou, Eels, and Raikou's got, or I shouldn't say Raikou, Eelektrik has a new toy to play with since the last time we had regionals, and that's Jolteon-EX right here. I'm only running one copy because there are a significant amount of decks that really have some pretty solid outs, but still this is a pretty good card. So 160 HP might be a little low for an EX, but he makes up for it with his protective attack, Flash Ray. 70 damage for a lightning and 2 colorless. And more importantly, it prevents all damage done to this Pokemon by basic Pokemon through their attacks during your opponent's next turn. He's also got free retreat, which makes him a great send-up after a knockout. And if you get into a Jolteon War, you can actually Swift, 1 Lightning, 30, and it is not affected by weakness resistance or any other effects, so it cuts through Flash Ray. But you're probably better off in that situation just using Flash Ray over and over again and trying to make them budge. It's like a little chess match. So, anyway, that's Jolteon. It's his new toy. We also are running a Pikachu-EX now. Those of you who saw my deck from St. Louis Regionals might have noticed that I played Eels with Rayquaza. I've decided that the fire energy and stuff like that makes it a little clunky, so we're running Pikachu instead. He's still a pretty big home run hitter. So, Overspark, of course. With 4 energy, you do 200. You take out EXs with the 5th one. Bam, there go all the Megas. So, that's a good card to have. We also run a 1-1 split with Jirachi-EX and Shaymin-EX. Don't really see the need to have more than that. 1 Mewtwo, another alternate piece of muscle it's good to have, I think. And then Keldeo for Floatstone Retreat. And then, of course, the core 3-3 Eelektrik line. Dynamotor to accelerate lightning energy from the discard to your bench Pokemon. Bronzong for lightning, the original as I like to call it, at least in the modern era. And then Thunderwave Dynamos. We have 3 Raikous. So he's just basically our featured attacker. Only gives up 1 prize. Solid attack in Thunderlance, potential to do a lot of damage, and he takes -20 as long as he's got a lightning energy on him. So that's our Pokemon lineup. Our A-Spec of choice is Computer Search. Not really surprised there since we're not playing either Sableye or Vespiquen. 2 Battle Compressors to throw energy and supporters in the discard for retrieval with either Eelektrik or VS Seeker. And we run 4 Ultra Ball and 3 Level Ball because our entire Eelektrik line, our 3-3 line, is Level Ball searchable, as is Jirachi-EX. So just being able to have targets for that. And a lot of consistency there with a 7-gauge ball engine. 1 Super Rod as well to retrieve lost eels and the such. 4 VS Seekers, pretty standard. Supporter-wise, we've got AZ, mainly to get us out of Sleep Lock. You know, if we get stuck in the active with Hypnotoxic Laser with a Sleep Flip. And maybe just something like an eel or something gets Lysander, we want to get it out of there. Can also take away a lot of damage on a Pokemon EX, prevent it from getting knocked out, or reuse Shaymin or Jirachi. We also got Colress, Getsis, Hexmaniac, all 1-ofs, as well as Skyla and Wally. And the reason we run Wally is because of Archeops. You could try Evo Soda if you want, but I like just having the Wally, being able to get through Item Lock with it, also being able to use it on the first turn if you want, and simultaneously running only 1 copy and having potentially as many as 5 uses out of it through VS Seekers. Chances are you're not going to want to use all your VS Seekers on this, but with a single copy through VS Seeker, you can get multiple eels out, even under Archeops. Can also use just Hex Maniac and then evolve. So I've got a couple options there. 2 Lysanders and 2 Ns. Just have a little bit more options there. And then 4 Professor Sycamores for more solid draw power. Then we're going to round this out with 2 Skyfields. Since we have eels and all that stuff, we just want to like fill up our bench. And then that's going to happen pretty quickly a lot of times. So Skyfield's good for that. And then if it gets bumped, you can just discard Jirachi and Shaymin. We got 3 Floatstones for a little more consistency as opposed to the usual 2. Try to get one on Keldeo if you can. And then, otherwise I just put them on Eels so that they can free retreat. And then we have 2 Muscle Bands and 9 basic Lightning. We don't run Flash Energy because, well, it doesn't work with Dynamotor, so... Jolteon's really... Jolteon's one big enemy in this format, aside from the Vespiquen and Flareon deck, is going to end up being Gallade. I think that's really kind of the thorn in Jolteon's side. The one spike that managed to get through all of Jolteon's spikes, if you will. But otherwise, I mean, this is just a pretty solid core list, I feel like. We just kind of filled it out, bulked it up to 60. Because the core is somewhere around 40 to 45 cards, I think, most of the time. So, we're going to go ahead and play a couple games and see how this works out. So we're going against Fire. Fire, Fire, Flame, Incandescence. Flip your coin. We're going second. Well, actually, I don't know. Yeah, okay, he's going to have us go first. As I said, because those fire decks are usually built to Blacksmith and attack on turn 1. So our opponent gets a mulligan, so we're going to get a free draw here. 6 cards out. What do we got? Alrighty. So, okay. So there's a basic now. So we got Lone Dynamo for our start, but we have an acceptable opening here. We can always just end. We have a Battle Compressor, too. That's definitely a good sign. Let's get a couple of energy out of there. And I think I'm going to toss... Probably toss a Sycamore. I think that's going to be the right choice. Alright, must have been back here somewhere. Since we're going to end up ending, I think maybe get one of these in the discard pile for later for VS Seeker purposes. And then we're just going to end. And I hope we end up with another basic, because otherwise we're in trouble. Okay. And so we do end up with a basic through the use of our 7-gauge ball engine. So we'll get another Dynamo out, but it looks like we got 2 of them prized. Yikes. That's not good. So we can also toss a couple of cards here. We're going to let these 2 go. We'll keep the Super Rod just in case we end up in a situation where we might need it. And with a Flareon deck, we're going to go grab Flareon's Evolution buddy Jolteon. And if he gets knocked out, again, we can just send him right back into the deck. And if he doesn't, then we might be able to take advantage of that. So, retreat out of the active. We see an Ether. He hits a double colorless. It's an energy card, but it's the wrong one. Interesting to see an Ether. So he attaches a Fire Energy to Flareon, plays Entei, and plays a Sycamore with discarding 3 Fire Energies. Yikes. Okay, so we see a Fiery Torch, discards a Fire, grabs 2. It's not a card I'm particularly big on, but I guess if you want to play a Stadium other than Scorched Earth in a deck like that, I could justify it. So he just goes ahead and dumps 4 energy casually, but at least we know he's not going to have a Blacksmith play this turn. That is a big, big deal. We see an Ultra Ball, discarding 2 more Fire. Goodness gracious. Not sure about those Max Elixir odds after 6 Fire in the ditch and another one's in play. Depends how many energy you run. So we see another Entei come out. And that goes down onto the bench, and it goes over to our turn. Okay, so there's going to be no point to playing the Super Rod. Instead, we're just going to throw one of these energies onto Jolteon, and we're going to play a VS Seeker. Go and grab that Professor Sycamore back. And use it. Alrighty, so we're going to get a pair of Eels into play right here. Definitely can't complain about that. So... go ahead and bring these into play. Throw a Raikou down. Take advantage of that free retreat cost we got. And we can do a double Dynamotor while we're at it. And that should keep our Jolteon ready to go for next turn. And I think that's about all we need to do right now. And we can attach our energy to Raikou and retreat it if he doesn't knock it out. And if he does, we give up 1 prize. Whoop-de-doo. Again, not too horribly concerned about that, because outside of Jolteon being on the board, we've got a grand total of 3 prizes chilling here. Oh, Victini. Nice. So we do see a Blacksmith, so he's going to get 2 energy. And so either a Fury Belt, a Muscle Band, or a Fire from Hand will give him the knockout. Instead, he Blaze Balls for 110. So he does come up short. And we're going to be able to do something about that, because we've got an energy here in hand, so we can retreat into Jolteon. And we can go ahead and Dynamotor as well. Put a couple energies on this Raikou, even though it's nearly dead. And I guess we'll Chorus for 5, because we don't really have much else to do. Try to get a supporter for later. Alright, no real need to play any of this stuff at the moment. So we'll just Flash Ray for 70, and more importantly, prevent damage. So we see another Ether come down. He hits a Professor Sycamore instead. All those energies that are gone, I mean, he's got 4 and 3. Okay, so it's still 7, but that's a lot of energy. I'm guessing most of those decks, because they usually run somewhere around 10 or 11 energies. You see a Blacksmith onto Entei. So Entei's fully charged now, but what is he going to use it against is the question. I mean, you can go ahead and clean off the bench. You still need to find a way to get by Jolteon. I've actually seen someone run the Charizard-EX in this deck and run the Mega Charizard for the sole purpose of dealing with Jolteon. It is pretty interesting, I have to say, but I don't know. So we're just going to Skyla here, I think. Go grab a Muscle Band. Alright, so we're going to put that into play, and we're just going to Flash Ray again. Deal a little bit of damage. That way if he gets a Fighting Fury Belt, we can still knock him out. So we see a Sycamore here. Discards a VS Seeker and another Sycamore. Draws a fresh 7. And an Acrobike. I'm just going to discard another Fire. Plays an Ether, hits a Lucky Helmet. That's an interesting choice. Plays a Scorched Earth, discards another Fire, grabs 2 cards. My question now is, does he have an answer here? Maybe a Escape Rope. An Escape Rope Lysander combo would work. And we don't have the Super Rod anymore, so we would be out of a Jolteon at that point. And you could make the case to run multiple copies of this guy, I think. Realistically, it's just that good of a card. So we do see a Charizard come down, so take notice on that, because if we see a Mega Evolution come out, that is a problem. So I think we're gonna maybe VS Seeker the Skyla and try to pull... Oh, or we could just draw Lysander, that works too. Been really sacky today. So we're gonna Lysander Charizard out and hit it with a Flash Ray. Because one thing we know about Charizard is it does not have a Spirit Link. Interesting to see Stokezard hanging out here. And my guess is if he's running that, there's got to be a Mega Evolution coming somewhere. Generally, I think the best Mega Evolution for this would probably end up being the one from Generations. That just feels like, with it only needing 4 energy instead of 5, and still potentially dealing enough to one-shot just about everything, it just feels like the right play. So he's going to pay the retreat, bring out Entei. Now he can Flame Screen here and gain the effect. We're going to see a Lysander on our Raikou, so we're going to see a Flame Screen here. Try to reduce some damage, but we're going to end up with a Lysander for the Charizard here anyway. Off of that VS Seeker we've got, and that's going to knock it out. So we'll just draw, or we could just hard draw another Lysander. Sacky McSack, and Flash Ray to take that thing off the board. Can't say for certain if the Mega's in there, but seeing that it's a Stokezard and the fact that it's capably able to happen, rather not take the chance. So he brings up the Entei with the Lucky Helmet this time. And he could have tried to stall, actually, by Lysandering up the Eel that doesn't have a Float Stone on it. So we're just going to continue drawing stuff. And I see no need to bench anything. I just figure I'm just going to Flash Ray over and over again. He can have a couple of cards off Lucky Helmet. That is perfectly fine. Oops, it's only one prize. Jolteon's so good. I'm going to ask him if he runs the Mega Charizard. So he Acrobikes, discards a Fire Energy there. And he says, nope, his trump is Entei. So he's not going to be able to have some damage here. So basically, he can Lysander up an Eelektrik. He chooses the one with the Float Stone. Now, he's got the Knockout on it. But again, as I said, he can go right ahead and knock these things out because I'm not going to bench anything else. I'm just going to let Jolteon kind of sit there. So he gets heads on Heat Tackle. Just bring Jolteon back up. And Flash Ray again. The thing is that Hex Maniac or something of the sort, while it might work on Safeguard, it does not work on Jolteon, and that is a huge difference maker. So another Acrobike. We see another Fire go. How many Fires are in his discard pile? Is it 9, or did he just discard another one? Yeah, it's 9, and he's got 2 more here and 1 there, so that's 12 energies. Yeah, I think that's how many Dankus ran when he top 4'd Indiana with Flareon. He also didn't run double colorless, though. He says, good game, can't. Good game. And so he scoops it up. So you see Jolteon just kind of take control in a match like that, which definitely leads to the argument of potentially running multiple copies of Jolteon. But for now, I'm going to take that game, and we're going to go in and do one more. Alright, so first glance, I guess this looks like a Toadtino we're playing against here. So come on, Lugia. Heads. Ah, you suck. Alrighty, so let's see. Oh god, yeah, I'm glad that was a mulligan. That wasn't good. Example of what not to draw on your first turn, ladies and gentlemen. Oh geez, we're mulliganing again. Aww. Giving them too many cards. Alright, so it looks like we're going to start with a couple of Dynamos. And he's going to start with a couple more cards in his hand. And okay, so we'll see what we can do. Ugh. Well, he led with a Shaman, so I guess that's okay. I'm down with that. So he's going to play a Trainer's Mail here. Let's see what he ends up, if he finds an Ultra Ball for Hoopa, or nope, it's going to be a Verbank. Alrighty, so we're probably going to get poisoned and take 30 damage right away here. Yep, there's Hypnotoxic. Tails, so no sleep. So we could try to retreat out of it. So he attaches a double colorless and a Muscle Band, and Sycamore's away, a two Super Scoop Ups, 3 Super Scoop Ups, I'm sorry, and an AZ. Wow. Okay, so now we see Ultra Ball discarding Puzzle and another Ultra Ball, so maybe going for the Hoopa here. Yep, there it is. Alrighty, was expecting that. So here it comes, and now we're going to face a decision here when we go into our turn as to whether or not we honestly want to let this Dynamo die going into his turn. And I'm thinking the answer is going to be no. Just kind of a hunch I'm getting here. We're going to need something else that we're going to want to retreat into. Raikou always makes a good choice for that. So we see a Toad, a Keldeo, and a Shaman come out of the deck. Now he's already used up his attachment for the turn, so we're going to see Toad and Keldeo see the bench, but he won't be able to put another energy down here. So instead he's just going to Shaman set up for 2. Not really sure what else there is to reach for at the moment. I guess the float stone, potentially. So, Trainer's Milk gets him a crushing hammer, and he goes ahead and passes his turn. So 30 damage from poison in between turns. And we're going to Ultra Ball here. And we're going to go find, let's see, so we get, okay, so we got one eel prize, we discarded one. I'm going to go grab Jolteon here, I think. He seems like a good candidate for this matchup. I kind of don't want to use him up right now. Get the Raikou for... Oh god, get the Keldeo going, that'd be even better. Okay, so get the Raikou down. Attach. So we'll be able to retreat. And then just Sycamore away the VS Seeker into a fresh hand of 7. Okay, so we're actually going to get a chance here to Super Rod and send that eel back into the deck, which is a big deal here. And losing the energy from the discard pile isn't too big a deal here because we can battle Compressor, get a couple of them there, and send something else. Not really sure what, to be honest. Might actually just leave it at those two. Because there's a lot of item cards that would be appealing to discard, I feel like. But nothing to the point where I feel it's going to be absolutely necessary right now. So we're going to try to bench another Raikou here, and hopefully the computer doesn't freeze on us. There we go. Retreat into one of these Raikous, and we've also got Jirachi ready for next turn, which is not too bad. So we're going to have some supporter options. We've also got Wally and Getsus in hand. He's going to lay a Float Stone down, play a Laser. Here we go. So Shaman will not have to Sky Return here. Doesn't look like. He's good. Of course, he may opt to since he just played a Hex Maniac, so we will see the Sky Return. So he hexes us. We take 80. Fortunately, we have 120 and not 110, so that we won't get knocked out in between turns, going back into his turn. Draw a Mewtwo, which is a pretty good attacker, I think. And I'm going to go ahead and get this here, because he's got a 7-card hand. So we're going to hit 3 Crushing Hammers and a Muscle Band. So that's going to leave him with a Colorless, a Dragon Energy, and a Shaman. Sadly, that means he's going to get to draw a handful of cards on his turn. But it's also going to give us a situation here to get our first Eelektrik into play, even though we're currently under ability lock due to Hex Maniac. And we can also attach an energy here. Let's see, we got 3 in the discard. Let's go ahead and knock that Stadium out of play. And oh man. Yeah, I think we're just going to go ahead and attach here. And that's going to be it for this turn. And maybe we can get up to Jolteon, hopefully, at some point in this game, to where Jolteon can just kind of take control of the game with Flash Ray. Definitely would be probably the most appealing answer to a deck like this that would then be relying on, it's pretty much solely on energy denial. So he plays a Crushing Hammer, gets Tails, puts down a Seismitoad, a Giratina, plays another Laser, another Tails Flip, and then Juniper. So he discards a Double Dragon and grabs 7 fresh cards. Now, Giratina's not really, other than offering a higher damage output than Seismitoad, it doesn't really do a whole lot in this matchup for him. Because we don't play any special energies, we don't play any Mega Evolutions. Really the only thing he could do with it is, since Seismitoad already locks us out of items, other than the greater damage, is stick as Verbank City Gym in play. Which, if that's the worst thing we have to worry about, I'm not too bothered by that, I guess. So he attaches a Colorless and a Muscle Band to a Seismitoad, and we're going to see a Quaking Punch here. It's going to knock out Raikou. So we're going to yield 1 prize card, but only the 1, instead of, what could have been 2. And since he got rid of our energy anyway, but we're just going to go ahead and continue to give him single prizers here. And we actually draw the Jolteon, which is real good to see. So we're going to Wally that second Dynamo into Eelektrik. And that's going to give us a pair of Dynamotors onto Jolteon here. Actually worried that gets us last turn may have helped him. But we just kind of play on from there, I guess. Didn't realize he was sitting on 3 Crushing Hammers. So Eels are going to get us a couple of lightning energies on Jolteon, and I think we're just going to go ahead and pass after that. He's already burned, looks like 3 hypnotoxic lasers. So we see a double dragon energy go on to Giratina. And hopefully if things go well, we can Flash Ray next turn and start Jolteon's control. Now, we would be 3-shotting a lot of this stuff, which that's a lot of attacks when you consider the fact of Super Scoop Up and AZ and all that, but I still think it's more effective than a lot of other things that we could potentially have to do here. Now, we're going to go ahead and just Professor Sycamore for a new hand. Alright, so that's not bad. We're going to definitely get Dynamotor onto Jolteon, and we're also going to get the attachment for our turn to go on to Raikou here. Get another Dynamo, and okay, so we can retreat this one, bring Jolteon out, and then we can use the other Dynamotor to start powering up the Mewtwo. Since it also doesn't have any damage on it, it's got a little more HP. Then we'll hold the AZ in case we get hit with a Lysander here. But for now, we will go ahead and Flash Ray. Only 70 damage, but the bigger picture here is that we are not going to be taking any damage from Seismitoad's attack. And like I said, he's already burned through 3 copies of Hypnotoxic Laser. So we are going to see a double colorless energy go on to Giratina. And if he really wanted to start attacking with that, he could. Not sure how wise that would be. I mean, he'd still be locking us out of Floatstone, and he could use it to one-shot an Eel. But that aside, he would be giving us access to some of our items that Quaking Punch can still lock us out of. So we're going to take the Quaking Punch. No damage, and then we will evolve into a 30 Eelektrik off a pretty solid top deck. So we're going to start loading more energies on the board now. I'm actually going to put this one over on the Raikou. And we've got an energy in hand that we can put to whichever one needs it more, I guess. And so I'm just going to hold on to that, I think, and just Flash Ray. Just keep what I got in my hand. Not really any reason to play any of it at the moment. So we do want to have that AZ out in case we do get Lysandered. Specifically if an Eel were to get Lysandered up. With Mewtwo, we could just attach and attack. Or retreat, and then just reattach. Probably be the better play. And with Raikou, we could just retreat with the 1 energy. So, got some options if that happens. It's really more in the case that Eelektrik were to get brought up. So, Toad now with 140 damage on it, so he's going to have to do something here. I can always just rush in with Keldeo and free retreat to get out of the active. We see another Floatstone come down, this time onto Hoopa. And we see an Ultra Ball here, discarding Zero Sick and Enhanced Hammer. 2 cards that aren't really going to do him any good here since he locked me out of Pokemon Tools and I don't have any special energy to speak of. So, looks like he just fails the Ultra Ball search and then plays a VS Seeker to grab Professor Juniper from the deck. Just like just saying Sycamore. So, a fresh 7 there. Whether or not, I would think we would at least see a new Seismitoad come out here. We see a Crushing Hammer, so he gets an energy off our Jolteon. Hopefully he isn't able to get 2 energies off of there at once. That would really be the bigger concern. He's down 3 Crushing Hammers as of right now. So he still has 1 left. Also has that 1 Hypnotoxic Laser left that he could potentially use to inflict some damage, but as long as he doesn't get a knockout with it, it really, I don't think, matters how much damage Jolteon sees from it. So he goes ahead and lays down a Furbank, so he discards the heavily damaged Seismitoad and the Hoopa. So not too bad. We're going to see a Super Scoop up here, Tails Flip. So he's going to retreat into Seismitoad, and we're going to see a Quaking Punch again. More item lock, but still no damage, and we still have an energy in our hand. We draw another one, which is good. So we basically maintain the same exact hand we had last turn. And once again, we can Flash Ray, and we can just kind of wait until either we get knockouts here or our Lysanders decide to come to us here. There's not really a whole lot else that we're needing to reach for at the moment. Pretty much got our hand set up to where we want it, to where no matter what he does on a given turn, we can have an answer to it. So AZ just kind of doing that. Now N is the outlier here, and that's what he's going to play. So the two cards that really matter there, AZ and the Lightning Energy. But we're going to draw into Lysander, and we can also Colress for a lot here. And since he's already played N for the turn, he's not going to have the option of laying down another another supporter. However, he does lay down Rock Guard, which could present a bit of a problem. Now, we've got double Lysander in our hand here, so we can take advantage of what's going on there. Bring one of these Shamans up. I think that's about all we need to do right now. We can just Flash Ray it for a knockout, 140 damage, and we'll claim a couple of prize cards that way. So we draw Computer Search and VS Seeker, two cards that aren't going to be doing anything anytime soon. And it might be wise to start charging something up on the bench to try to finish off that Seismitoad. Even at the cost of a 60 damage recoil shot from Rock Guard. Now we've got one more Shaman we can also Lysander up and take another knockout on. So we're going to see a VS Seeker for another N, so he's going to send those 8 cards that we're holding back into our deck, and we're going to have to redraw again. And we're not going to draw quite so well this time. Not really didn't get anything here. Now whether or not we want to continue to use Jolteon to attack and just take that 60 damage, which might actually be the better option here. The more I'm looking at this. Okay, let's see. We don't have an energy in hand, so I do want to accelerate this energy onto the Mewtwo. And let's see, we're doing 80 damage there, which is still not quite enough. So I think we're just going to go ahead and Flash Ray, and I will take the 60 damage up front from the Rock Guard. Even if we had to take that damage twice, it would be okay, given as to how we would still survive with 40 HP, which is more than enough to survive a Verbank Laser combo for 30. And I'm pretty sure he's all out of scoop-ups, so unless he has a scoop-up Cyclone ready, which could very well be a thing. Of course, a Puzzle of Time can change that. So you can go pull 2 of them from the discard pile. We'll see if he opts to go that route or go for the Hypnotoxic Laser. And the other thing worth noting here, I think, is that no matter what happens, he's only taken 1 prize so far. So even if he were to somehow find a way to knock us out, he would only be up by 1 prize. And I think the problem with that lies in how much damage we have on us. If we were to take another 60, then he could laser us, and we would if we stayed asleep, we would get knocked out going into his turn. But it looks like we might see the Hypnotoxic Laser return earlier. We also see a Crushing Hammer here, so he gets heads, discards one of our energies, and now we see the Hypnotoxic Laser. But it will be a Tails Flip, so no sleep, which is good. Now he'll still have a chance here. With 90 damage on us, they'll have a chance to potentially Lysander and then rush in and retreat to Giratina for a knockout. And he plays the Team Flare Grunt, so very smart, pairing the Flare Grunt with the Crushing Hammer there. So he's able to get a decent amount of energy off of our board, but we've got some accelerators just kind of waiting. And we've got more than enough damage to be able to take advantage of what's on the board. So we're just going to end here, put the these cards that we can't play that are in our hand right now back into the deck, draw a different 4-card hand. So we get an energy out of it. Now there's, how many did I say? We've got 2 Lightnings currently waiting in the discard. So we could use the Raikou here for the knockout. Just accelerate a pair of energy out of there. I do realize that's going to leave us one short on our Jolteon. But I think that isn't really the biggest deal. Since Raikou only has 50 damage on it, it won't get knocked out by Rock Guard. And our opponent's just going to forfeit right there. Okay, so you can kind of see, I think, at that point, just kind of how this is working, at least to get going. That was Raikou, and I hope to see you guys again soon. Cheers.